It sailed through space at an unimaginable speed, a grand mechanical construction unlike anything we'd ever seen on our planet, a terrifying weapon to end all weapons. Oppenheimer said of the atomic bomb, "Now I am become death, the destroyer of worlds." But comparatively, this device made the atom bomb look like little more than a cherry bomb. This deadly machine's orders were simple. Take a direct course to Earth, activate, and wipe out all life. Leave the planet barren, with not even the smallest squirming microbes remaining. And this device, this destroyer, was more than capable of accomplishing this task. It'd been smooth sailing for millions of miles. All diagnostics were looking positive. Within a mere decade or so, the human race would be purged from the cosmos. Then, faster than the pre-programmed destroyer could react, a huge yellowish-green shape appeared in front of it. The destroyer's mysterious creators, in their not-quite-infinite intelligence, had planned for all of the major celestial bodies in Earth's solar system, including Jupiter, but for reasons unknown, they hadn't calculated the presence of Io, Jupiter's third-largest Galilean moon. The destroyer struck it at incredible speed, causing a mighty explosion and completely altering its perfect trajectory. Alarms were sounding as the destroyer hurtled down onto the lower atmosphere of Jupiter. This alteration was unprecedented. Mayday, Mayday. In some distant galaxy, screens were flashing red, and the creators suddenly registered that this mission may not be so simple after all. They would need to make adjustments. The impact into Jupiter triggered the destroyer's attack protocol. Drawing from its limitless energy source, it activated its hyper-advanced antimatter weaponry, causing spatial disruptions and atmospheric shifts that created a huge red vortex on the surface of the gas giant, one that would later become known to Earth-based astronomers as the Great Red Spot. It's 16,350 kilometers wide, which is 1.3 times the size of planet Earth, and it exists as a kind of hell that almost no being could endure. A constant swirling nightmare with 432 km/h wind speeds. In other words, the exact kind of nightmare it would have turned Earth into if ever it had reached its actual intended destination. But no matter, this was just a minor setback, all things considered. Such contingencies had been planned for from the start. The creators, back in the Triangulum Galaxy, roughly 3 million light-years away from the Milky Way, simply began transmitting new orders to the crashed, malfunctioning destroyer. Unit is damaged. Repair. And that's exactly what it began to do. It's unknown how they were able to communicate, let alone travel over such a vast distance. But systems that would be impossible to even explain to humans suddenly began to kick in. It released a legion of hardy, self-made octopod repair drones that began to search for the machine's missing parts, presumably hidden within the gases of Jupiter or pulled in by the gravity of its nearby moons. Other drones would remain at the destroyer's side, conducting repairs and guiding its vital systems. Presumably to this machine and its creators, humans are like mayflies, insignificant creatures with such tiny lifespans. Here today, gone tomorrow. The machine would conduct its repairs and be upon us within a mere few centuries, barely even diverting from the schedule. The one thing the creators didn't anticipate was the formation of a little organization called the SCP Foundation, perhaps the only hope humanity has in repelling this doomsday weapon. The question we need to answer today is, will they be enough? Terrifyingly, this device has been intent on our destruction since long before the SCP Foundation was even a glint in humanity's eye. It entered our solar system and crashed on Jupiter all the way back in 1665. We know this thanks to the writings of Italian astronomer Giovanni Cassini, who recorded detailed notes in his journal on what we would later dub SCP-2399. On October 8, 1665, he wrote, "I have observed something extraordinary in the heavens. Last night, as I gazed through my looking glass, I saw what appeared to be a star of great luminescence streak through the far reaches of our solar system. I have never recorded an object moving so fast. It had surpassed the outer planets in fewer than 2 hours, As I watched by my own two eyes, I saw it slow as it closed on Jupiter, make a sharp turn and disappear into the planet itself. I saw many bursts of light afterwards, but although I could continue to peer at it until the sun broke, I saw no additional disturbances in the night sky. I must continue to document these changes and will alert my colleagues when the day is upon me. On October 15th, I took Peter to my observation point last night. But a week from the last night I saw the fire rain upon Jupiter in the heavens. He brought along his own looking glass, and together we aimed our view upon the giant. To our surprise, a magnificent change had occurred. Where once the distant world only showed bands of color, there was now a great red spot where the star came to rest on the surface of Jupiter. Peter was incredulous, of course, that such an amazing discovery could have taken place before our very eyes. I will continue to take note of this. On October 18th, the night as I peered through my looking glass, I swear on my life that I observed what I looked to me like explosions and starbursts emanating from our red spot. I fear my mind is playing tricks on me, for there has been no record of such a violent outburst by a heavenly body since the dawn of astronomy. I will consult with Peter on the morrow and hopefully glean from him some advice on the matter. On October 19th, Peter sees the same as I. As I approach him with my concerns, he leveled the same with me, and through our following discussion, we concluded that there must be a powerful reaction to the falling star I saw upon the first night, and not the product of our own shortcomings. I am left wondering what cataclysmic event must be taking place upon our heavenly neighbor. Our work to document this must go on. And the work of documenting SCP-2399 has indeed gone on for centuries, just as the machine itself has never once ceased in its extensive repairs. It was first spotted by modern humanity and by extension the SCP Foundation in 1963. As soon as the technology existed to send satellites up to Jupiter, the Foundation began studying this frightening new foe up close, trying to get the true measure of its abilities. They discovered that the weapon has a mysterious internal power supply that seems impossible to run down, as well as an advanced targeting system, self-repair abilities, antimatter weapons, and matter-disrupting capabilities. It also appears to have advanced shielding systems that make destroying it currently impossible. And seeing as it's a massive piece of military machinery 514.18 million miles away from Earth, it's impossible to truly contain. That's why the Foundation has rearranged its priorities into two new prongs regarding SCP-2399. The first is suppressing information to avoid panic. In order to achieve this, the Foundation has embedded agents in all major observatories to suppress any sightings of the machine. It has also been conducting an active disinformation campaign to keep it out of the public consciousness. The second prong of their containment procedure is cutting off the transmissions between the Destroyer's creators in the Triangulum Galaxy and the Destroyer itself. Actually achieving this goal took a miraculous feat in aerospace engineering, the Barrier Satellite Array. This was an unprecedented long-range satellite array positioned in Jupiter's higher orbit, designed for the specific purpose of blocking the electromagnetic transmissions inbound for the Destroyer. These messages are intercepted, decoded, and logged on the Foundation database. The satellites have also been granted some minor offensive capabilities for use in extreme emergencies. SCP-2399 has been given the Keter Class due to its unique containment difficulties. It's also been given Disruption Class Amida, for the hefty possibility that reaching Earth could result in an SK Class Barren Earth, end of the world scenario. On top of that, it has been given the Risk Class Danger, due to the very high potential of all of this actually coming to pass. The biggest concern for the Foundation at present is the accelerating rate of repair that the Destroyer seems to be exhibiting. Back when they first observed the Destroyer up close, it was repairing itself at a rate of 0.12%. However, that rate of repair has now risen to 0.78% annually. According to all known metrics, its current level of functionality appears to be 59%. If it ever reaches 75%, then, to put it mildly, we're all going to be in a lot of trouble. Current projections say this is incredibly likely to occur in the next 25 years, and if we don't figure out a way to stop it before then, the Earth is doomed. The SCP Foundation received a chilling wake-up call about the severity of the situation when one of the barrier units noticed one of the destroyer's repair drones zeroing in on a piece of debris that seemed to be part of the destroyer's communications array. Considering that the Foundation's main weapon against the destroyer right now is blocking its communication capabilities, allowing it to repair its communications array would be an unacceptable failure. Because of this, Barrier Unit 53 was ordered to fire its onboard concussion batteries at the drone in hopes of destroying it, or at least impeding its progress. This was met by swift and severe prevention and retaliation from the destroyer. It fired its own defensive charges, destroying Barrier Unit 53's payload 5 kilometers away from the repair drone. It subsequently destroyed Barrier Unit 53, as well as several other barrier satellites that just so happened to be in its vicinity. This led to an order that no barrier units are permitted to engage the repair drones, for fear that this would lead to even greater losses. The next attempt to fight back against SCP-2399 went by the name Project Gigas. This was a joint project between the SCP Foundation and 45 different nations, with the goal of using sheer raw firepower to destroy or at least utterly incapacitate SCP-2399. They would place almost 100 massive nuclear warheads on Europa, Jupiter's smallest Galilean moon, each one fitted with EMP detonators to impede the destroyer's defense systems. They would hit it with so much nuclear hellfire that it surely would be destroyed. Naturally, when this failed to meaningfully damage the destroyer, the Foundation returned to the drawing board, daunted by the enormity of the task before them. The way they saw it, there was only one viable option left. Protocol Legionnaire. Randall McAllen, the director of the Barrier Project, released the following haunting memo on the subject. So, SCP-2399. Have you ever sat and wondered, maybe after you hear about a car accident on a street you were just on, or a bombing in a city you were visiting, just how lucky you are to be alive? Just how many things have to go right for you to continue to exist? A few seconds too late, a few seconds too early, and somebody reaches for something they dropped, and a busload of people run into another busload of people. Sometimes this kind of thing does happen, as we've seen far too often, but that's what we're here for, to protect those who can't protect themselves from things that they wouldn't even know to protect themselves from. We can't do it all, though. As many things as we've been able to contain, as many things as we've been able to keep under lock that would threaten to destroy us all, still far too many remain that we can't do anything about. Whether they're too big or too fast or too powerful, any of these things could blink and wipe humanity from existence. The fact that they haven't done so yet is just luck. SCP-2399 is, however, different. We have little information regarding SCP-2399's motives, origins, and full capabilities. We do not understand how it is capable of communicating over such large distances, or why those who constructed it, if it was, in fact, constructed, sent it to us in the first place. We do not know what would happen if SCP-2399 is able to fully repair itself, or if part of our array would break down and any message would get through. We do not know this, so we must assume the worst. Judging by what we've seen, were SCP-2399 to have reached Earth, it would have led to our timely destruction. But sometimes humanity gets a little help. Sometimes something steps in the way of the apocalypse. For us and for SCP-2399, it was Jupiter. As SCP-2399 began to slow on its approach to Earth, Cassini saw what we've been able to ascertain, that SCP-2399 struck Io, was damaged, and was unable to escape the gravitational pull of Jupiter. Its weapons activated as they were intended, but it was Jupiter that experienced doomsday, not us. Eventually, though, it is likely that SCP-2399 will resume full functionality, and will likely be able to pull away from Jupiter and proceed to its target. As of now, we can keep hurtling bombs and EMPs at it all we want, but we've got no indication that any of it will so much as scratch the thing. On the contrary, experience dictates that it would do nothing at all. If this were to happen now, we would undoubtedly be destroyed. Jupiter has given us some time. For now, SCP-2399 will remain there, reassembling itself while we devise some way to stop it. Like it or not, we are in an arms race with this thing. Our best guesses give us something like 25 years until it is able to hear past our dampening array. Until then, we must seize the opportunity that has been laid before us. We must use the time we have been given and not let it be wasted. So we devised Protocol Legionnaire, one gigantic EMP, powered by God knows what, followed by a volley of nukes big enough to wipe out our civilization 1,000 times over. A blunt plan, and simple, and likely futile. Our researchers around the globe have yet to devise even a way to deliver that kind of pulse, let alone a way to power it. There is no indication whatsoever that we will be able to complete Legionnaire on time, or if it will do what it is intended once it is completed. But we must try. We must do something. Even if we have to drain our banks and empty our minds, we must try. Not often do we get the chance to see the swerving bus that will end our lives and step out of the way. Jupiter unknowingly has offered us that chance. I suggest we take it. You're probably wondering, why is McAllen approaching this situation with such desperate urgency? Well, it's because in 1996 and again in 2015, the message that the destroyer has been receiving changed. It was no longer a simple order to repair. The message now read,
"Unit is out of range of target. Proceed to planet number 3 in system. Priority is target. Cease repairs."
And if that message ever gets through, time is already up for all of us. Now go check out SCP-001 Oborocycle, the full story compilation, and SCP XK Class End of the World Scenarios Explained for more anomalies that could wipe us off the face of the Earth.